Hello, and welcome to a nostalgic look at the new children's school. We're going back in time, and that's probably my friend Jonah with the blocks, if not Aaron, to the late 60s, early 70s, and the preschool that I attended, along with my brother, and my mom also worked there. So we'll see the gang, as it were. My hope is that people who were at this school, or whose children went there, or who worked there, will see this. It could happen, and they'll reach out. So if you know anything of this school, uh, particularly if you see yourself or a member of your family, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. I have a lot of fond memories, and since I'm not going to violate copyright and put music on this or that lame canned music, and with COVID, there's no chance of like going out and making a recording of children's laughter as a soundtrack. I'm going to tell you stories. If you don't like the sound of my voice, that's what the mute button is for. Okay? All right, here we go. So we had a phone there, not hooked up. And those of us who were alive back in the day will say, oh, yeah, Ma Bell owned all the phone equipment. You didn't buy your own phone, you rented it. That's my mother, by the way, providing adult supervision. So I wanted this phone to work like a real one. And I figured, like, well, you just plug it in and that should make it go. So I took the wires and stuffed them in an outlet because no one thought to put covers on outlets back then. And immediately started smoking. I pulled it out right away. And my mother quite sensibly scolded me about not putting wires into outlets. There I am in the kind of golden shorts and striped shirt with the head teacher. I remember her, but I can't remember her name or the name of the other kids. But I have some stories. One was we would have sing time, and one of the songs we'd sing is Farmer in the Dell. And one day I was wearing a flannel shirt, and she said, well, you're wearing a flannel shirt, so you can be the farmer every time. And we had like 2 or 3 rounds, so I was like the center of attention, which was kind of cool, and I got to pick my wife, as it were. But I also thought, even at that time, it was maybe a little unfair. I'm worried that one of the block throwers here is my brother Chad. It's like, Chad, knock it off. That is not right. I suspect my dad is running the camera, which goes to that old adage that teachers will intervene, but non-teachers will not, even when they ought to. Call it. It's the man. My mother's coming over to provide some much-needed adult supervision, I think. So we're going to stop throwing blocks at each other, which we should never have started. Up there I go again. My 15 minutes of fame, I get it 2 seconds at a time. So I'll give you another story. The teachers had read that girls will harbor their cars, whereas boys, that's toy cars, whereas boys will play out with them. They'll go drive around, as it were. No, what actually happened is the girls would use toy cars to socialize. So when it was toy car playtime, they would drive their car over to another person and use that car as a way of engaging with them. Whereas the boys were like trying to protect and hoard their cars, and so we would build like garages, forts even, of a sort to store our cars in there so that we could like accumulate and hold on to them. Oh, so much for theory. Little nerd gender one story. One day the organized play was going to be playing doctor and nurse. Nothing perverted. We had some baby dolls to be the patients, and then the boys were going to wear hats, paper rings with the word doctor on them, and then the girls could wear hats that had the word nurse on them. Okay, but you know what? Boys can also be nurses, I insisted, so I will be a nurse as well. Big mistake, Hal. The doctors, the boys, played with the dolls directly, whereas the nurses, that is the girls and yours truly, got to sit around in a circle and watch the action. Ah, so much for equality. I'm not having any more of this nonsense. But it was a grand time to be alive. This is an era where free range kids was not some theory that appears in a book. It was like a lifestyle choice. It was the norm, even, really. My mom had a cowbell to recall us when it was time to come in for dinner. A neighbor also had one, so we had some false alarms. We would come rushing back to the house, like, no, off you go. And we'd go back outside and play. We'd ride our bikes around the neighborhood. When we were a little older, we'd actually walk down to the market and run an errand for her if need be. It was a different time. Frankly, a much better time. So, arts and crafts time, and we're going to hear a little negative side of the 70s and early 60s because back then, kid scissors were terrible. They were like stamped steel, they didn't cut well, and they would actually hurt your fingers because of the edges. The lefties got a little bit of a break because to differentiate right-handed from left-handed scissors, they would have a bit of rubber coating, a plastisol on it, and so they got a little padding. Uh, Still not very good. There's my brother again, I think, miking for the camera. The joys of arts and crafts. You get to have the fun of making something, and then that something can become a toy. But given the optical quality of our work here, I don't think Zeiss or Steiner got anything to worry about at all. All right, and in a little bit, it'll be a different day, and we'll be outside. And I'm pretty sure my mom shot the third and last reel of film because she doesn't appear in it. But there I am with the head teacher. And we're doing some kind of craft thing that seems to be different than optics. I don't know. It was a long time ago. But still, many happy memories, even if they are a bit faded. So here we are outside, and some of you may look at that and say, wow, an inch of rubber, how safe? By the standards of the day in New York City, yeah, that a whole inch of rubber. Because some playgrounds were straight up concrete or asphalt, like, you're good, get out there. But there's an upside. Again, that's probably Jonah in the left of the frame. Back then, you knew the world was dangerous in a way that people seem to be oblivious to now. So you learned, that's me in far distance, I'm pretty sure, to be safe and to not take chances. You know, the world is dangerous, kids. And a friend and colleague of mine who taught in the same room for about 30 years, mostly woodworking construction, made that observation that kids back in the beginning of his career would listen very carefully to safety instruction. They knew the world was dangerous. They knew they had to take care. And then later in his career, the kids really didn't pay attention because the world is safe, and even if I do get hurt, I'll get paid. So what do I care? So I do actually think there's something to be said for, yeah, you're going to get banged and scraped, and, you know, the world isn't perfectly safe. Oh, and metal slides are so much better. Okay, they get hot in the summer sometimes, but they're so much faster. This is a very typical New York City playground that you're in. They were so well built, many of them are still pretty much intact as they are. And the Chinese playgrounds of today are, yeah, if you get an inch of rubber over the concrete, you're doing well. So it meets strict 1960s safety standards and modern Chinese safety standards. Now, my friend Jonah is now up in Massachusetts, and his older brother Aaron is apparently in Chile. And then my brother is also up in Massachusetts, and of course I'm here in New Haven. But it was really nice growing up in Queens at that time. Lots and lots of happy memories. And even now I enjoy swinging. You can see some of the teachers are getting a go on the swings. And some kids are helping pushing. You know, I'm in my mid-50s, and every once in a while I was like, yeah, you know what, I want to get on a swing and just have that, I'm making myself go, and it's also relaxing at the same time. It's a nice combination, isn't it? And of course, the seats were hard because why wouldn't they be? We're coming to the end, and you're gonna see about 2 seconds of me running across frame, and then the film runs out. That's how I get my 15 minutes of fame, 2 to 3 seconds at a time. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. We'd love to hear from you if you know anything of the children's preschool, and I wish you a good day. Take care.